So in this chapter, we're going to talk a little bit about inoculants and beneficial bacteria and how it's good for your plant. Right here I have something called nature solution, but nature solution makes something called mycorrhiza. It's a natural beneficial bacteria that's everywhere in the soil, and manufacturers have been able to harvest it and actually grow it in laboratories and actually make it perform better for your plant. Now what this beneficial bacteria does is it works symbiotically with the plant itself. It colonizes the root zone. And so let's just say I have a plant that isn't using mycorrhiza and a plant that does. Okay, the difference is that the plant that doesn't have it isn't going to have it's going to have a regular root zone, but it's not going to have a very vigorous, large root zone. The reason why that's important is because now the plants are able to uptake more nutrients and be able to perform better. So the plant that does have the mycorrhiza, it's these little mycorrhizae colonize the root zone and make it to where it's expanded and big and actually expands huge inside the pot or inside the medium that it's being used in. So when you do that, it definitely causes more nutrient uptakes. And you have to be a little bit careful about that, about how much additives and nutrients that you use. But in the same sense, it'll make it perform better. Okay, so mycorrhiza is obviously really good for your plant. It's really healthy too. It's not a chemical. It's a natural organism. It works in many different ways. And sometimes you don't even, like I've seen organic gardens that utilize this a lot and get really good results because of it. It's just natural. And so for using something like this, you don't need to pH it. You don't need to check its parts per million. You just need to follow directions on the back of the box or whatever and make sure that you can apply the correct amount. We're going to add a little bit of this stuff into it. Now we can see that it's just a powder. It comes in powdered form. It also comes in liquid form too. But basically it's laying dormant right now inside this bag because it's probably made in a laboratory. When I add a little bit to it, to the water, it actually starts to activate it. Now you're going to have to mix it around a little bit because see, it's just sitting in there. But if you mix it around a little bit, it'll turn into a powdery type dark liquid. And then once you mix it, you just pour it straight onto your plant. Whether you're using rock wool, whether you're using soil, it doesn't really matter. It's gonna get down there and colonize those roots to make sure that the plant has even more nutrient uptake than it did originally. It's very, very good. I would recommend this to anybody. Now another thing that there is also beneficial fungi. And what that does is instead of colonizing the root zone, it actually protects the root zone. It keeps diseases from entering the root zone, any type of vectors or any problems as far as that goes. You won't experience those problems as much as you would if you didn't use it. They actually cover it and make sure that it's basically like a shield. So beneficial fungi is another form of a natural type of organism that works well with the plant. These are all kind of fairly recent that entered the industry. I would say only by 3 to 5 years ago, but it's definitely catching on, and I would definitely utilize this, especially if you're doing hydroponics, because in hydroponics you don't have the same type of natural processes going on as you do in soil. In soil, you have water that comes down on the soil, bacteria breaks all those nutrients down, and it enters the root zone. So with these, you're able to replicate that and even control it just like you would nutrients. That's one of the biggest things, is that you're able to control it as opposed to just going organically and feeding it water. You never know what you're going to get. Whereas nutrients, you're able to do that. So that wraps it up for beneficial bacteria and fungi, and I'll see you in the next chapter.